สวัสดีครับ I'm Point from ค้นพบ Today I want to talk about a really important soft skill or a really important life skill, at least in my opinion, and that is communication skills. In particular, how to be an active listener, how to really listen to somebody. Now, when we hear the phrase active listening, we probably think to ourselves, come on, this is just stating the obvious now. Of course I know how to listen to people. I need that for my work. I listen to my boss, I listen to my colleagues, I listen to my employees because that's needed to get the job done. That's needed to be productive at work. Likewise, I listen in my family. I listen to my family members, my parents, my brother, my sister, my son, my daughter, my husband, my wife, my boyfriend, my girlfriend. So where are you going with this? The key I want to present here is this. When we communicate with somebody else, or when we interact with another person, when we engage with them, it's really a two-way street. So therefore, effective interaction, effective communications has to have as its foundation mutual trust, mutual respect, and some common ground that's established there. And the prerequisite for that is to be an active listener. In other words, you are communicating to them that you truly take interest in their situation. You truly take interest in what they have to say, right? And you can respect their opinions even if it's different from yours. Now think of it this way. As we observe how most people around us communicate and observe ourselves, how we ourselves communicate, right? We will probably soon realize the inconvenient truth that most people actually take this approach. That when they engage in a conversation with somebody, what they're really trying to do is set the objective that I'm going to show you why I'm right and why you're wrong. And therefore, you need to agree with me. And if I can convince you to agree with me, haha, I've won. And I've been effective in my communications. You might say that you feel effective in your communications, yes. But if you really think about it, that's really far from the truth. Because again, communications is a two-way street. Therefore, communications has much less to do with how well you felt you communicated or talked about your point of view. It has much less to do with whether or not you were right even. It has a lot more to do with what the other person understood. And therefore, it's about bridge building, establishing some sense of common ground, some sense of mutual trust and mutual respect. Right? And in order to do that, it goes back to the ability to demonstrate to them through your empathy, empathetic listening, active listening, right? So you can see here the mistake that people make and therefore the problems that come after it, right? And if you see that most people who are really interested in just proving their point or just showing why their opinion is correct and why others are wrong, you'll notice that this aggressiveness, for lack of a better term, right, is communicated everywhere, even in non-verbal language, non-verbal cues. Their body language may be a certain way, their facial expression or their tone of voice may be condescending, right? And how do you think that's going to make the other person feel? They might not talk back, they might pretend to agree with you, they might listen to you, but that is not really effective communications, effective interaction. Right? Because to truly be effective, you must be able to establish mutual trust, and therefore you will be much more influential through those soft skills. Right? For example, have you ever noticed somebody who likes to talk over somebody else? Cut them off. Cut somebody else off before they can even finish their sentence. I'm sure we've all met these people before. How do you feel when you talk to these people who always cut you off, who always talk over you? You probably feel that it's disrespectful, that they're trying to take control of the conversation and therefore hijack the conversation. What they're really making you feel, how they're really making you feel is they're making you feel that they don't value your opinions and that they think that their point of view is more superior to yours. Therefore, they're saying that they're higher than you are. I'm sure that we've all been made to feel this way one time or another. So you can see where I'm going here, that effective communications has first to do with being an active listener. So then what approach can we take? if we take this different approach, right, that okay, if we ask ourselves, what is the purpose of engaging in this conversation? What is the purpose of engaging in this interaction? And if we define for ourselves that the primary objective is to exchange experiences, exchange opinions, exchange understanding, right? Exchange opinions about the other person, try to understand the other person more, try to understand each other more, to understand each other's situations better, to understand each other's opinions better. Therefore, if you take this approach, then you're going to have the mindset of what can we learn from this interaction, right? And therefore, the objective that you're going to set automatically is going to be that I want the end of the interaction for us to both walk away a little bit smarter than we were before, know a little bit something more about the world than we did before we started this conversation, right? And this is the foundation to engage in mutual constructive communications, active listening, trust building, and respect. So when you take this approach, you will therefore naturally want to authentically and genuinely hear the other person out. You want to authentically take interest in the other person's situation, take interest in the other person's opinions, point of views. You really want to pay attention how they're feeling, right? If there are any emotions behind those words, right? What those words show, how they delivered it, the tone of voice, and what troubles them, what are they worried about. And if you are really attentive and really want to listen, then you will see that really quickly people will tell you a lot of crazy things because it's a sign that they are starting to trust you. There's some sense of mutual trust there that is building a common ground, leading to a common ground. Why does that happen? Because when you take this approach, when you lend your ear first before you're too busy trying to make your point, what you're saying is, I respect this interaction, that I want both of us to gain something from it. And I want you to gain something from it. I want to provide value to you. And therefore, I'm going to listen to you without judging you. And when you establish that feeling, they will pick it up. They will pick up on it. They will feel that they can trust you to some extent. They will feel that you're not judging them. Therefore, there's going to be some mutual respect that's building there. And that's going to be some common ground that you're establishing. And therefore, both parties can respect each other even though they have differing viewpoints, no matter how extreme. And that's the key. That's what we want to work towards. You don't want to engage in a conversation with the objective to be right, because you know what? Think of it this way. If you only talked and they listened to you, right, and they agreed with you, whether they pretended to or not, then you did not walk away any smarter than you were before the interaction. You didn't learn anything new. But if you go with an open mind, open heart, and try to listen to them with mutual respect, take true interest in what they have to say, what they're saying, how they have to say, what they feel, what they're worried about, what troubles them, then even if they come from a very, very absurd perspective or a crazy perspective in your point of view, if they say 99 things that are completely stupid in your opinion, but if you're patient enough and you're open-minded enough, it all just takes that one thing, the 100th thing that they said, that, perhaps you learned something new about them, or perhaps you learned something new about the situation, or about the context of what you're talking about. And that's where both sides will benefit from the interaction, right? So here's a little tip to start. So you want to really step into their shoes. Try to see it from their point of view, from their perspective. Now again, I talked about this in one of my previous videos called perspective versus reality, right? Or perspective or just reality. The point is, we are often too locked in our own perspectives. So when we listen to somebody else, it's very subtle, but we try to understand them through the lens from which we see the world. And that's not true listening. That's not active listening. To truly understand them, first you must drop the judgment. You must step out of your own shoes, your own perspectives, and try to entertain their point of view. And here's the key. Just because you're listening to them does not mean that you have to agree with them. Just because you're listening to them does not depreciate, does not destroy your own opinions or your own standpoint or your own point of view. It does not lower your standpoint, right? On the other hand, it is constructive. You are working as a team towards some common goal, which is that both sides walk away from this conversation a little bit better off than they were before, right? So you may say things like, as you listen, and be like, nod your head or say things like, I see what you mean, I understand, that's interesting. Or you can ask them to clarify that point of view to show that you're trying to follow along, right? And as you listen, some things will ring with you, some things will resonate with you, and you can ask them further questions about how they feel, what do they mean, or if this thing makes you feel a certain way, you can establish that through another question to get them to continue delivering their point of view. And that's how you're working together. Now, the next point is going to be a hard one, right? Is the true test of the quality of your listening is your ability to summarize for them what they are trying to say. A lot of people are not as eloquent in delivering their point of view as they would like to be. If you are really effective in listening through their verbal cues and through their non-verbal cues and through what those words hide in terms of what feelings do those words hide, what emotions do those words hide, then you will be able to piece together the structure of the argument. And if you're able to summarize that for them, guess what? They're gonna be really they're gonna really appreciate that. And again, it doesn't mean that you agree with them, but you're able to see things from their perspective. And after that, when you say your piece after that, your piece will come off much more powerful. What you have to say after first listening to them will be much more powerful and much more influential. Because if you are able to make the other person feel safe with you, if you're able to make the other person feel trusted by you or that they trust you and that you're not judging them, then they will be much more likely to also listen to your point of view with an open heart, because you're not pushing them against the wall, you're not cornering them, you're not making them feel stupid, you're not making them feel judged, so they're able to open to you more. And it will be, reciprocated. They will want to listen to you more and try to understand you more as well. And that's how you become much more effective in your communications. Now, the key is this. Especially in close relationships like family relationships or romantic relationships where you have a long-term relationship, it's going to be really hard for you to really summarize their point of view in the case where you disagree with them. Because when they say something that you think is stupid or absurd or crazy or idiotic, your ego is going to want to act up, and you're going to want to deconstruct their argument and crush them and make them feel ridiculed and make them feel stupid. But really, what does that serve? It only serves your lower ego, right? And when you do that, you might be able to get away with that for 1 time, 2 times, a few times, 3 times, 4 times, etc. But eventually, you're putting up a wall between you and the other person. They're gonna learn that they can't talk about this subject with you. They can't trust you on this issue, etc. And you're only pushing yourself away from the other person. This is really important, especially for close relationships, for family relationships. The point is not about who wins. The point is you want to work together as a team. How can you come out of the interaction or the conversation both wiser than you were before? And that's why it's a lot easier said than done. Because to be able to entertain somebody else's perspective, to be able to truly take interest in their situation, to be able to truly take interest in how they think, what they feel, and their opinions, you first have to step out of your own bubble, your own perspective. And that means separating yourself from your own ego. And that's why it's a lot easier said than done. But again, I guarantee you, if you really take this perspective, how to communicate effectively, how to actively listen, then you will realize that you're going to be a much more influential person than you were before. People will want to interact with you more, people will trust you more, people will want to listen to you more. And the indirect consequence of that action is you're going to be much more influential to the people around you. to your colleagues, to your boss, to your employees, to your family members, to your romantic partners. And that's a really powerful thing. And I want to share this message in today's video. But a word of warning here. The key is not to listen to them and understand them in order to manipulate them. That's bad karma. That's unethical. You want to understand them, to work together with the objective of how can you both grow, not understand them in order to find a way to indirectly manipulate them. That's unethical. And do beware of that, because you're going to make bad karma for yourself. Alright, I think that's it for now. Please share with me in the comments what you think about this video, how you listen to people, and how you think you can improve upon your listening skills, because I think this is something that we can always improve on. And this is a, I view that I'm always learning about this, and this is something that we always learn as we interact with more people. So that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like for me. Please share the video for me. Please subscribe to my channel. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the bell notification button for more videos. If you're watching on Facebook, please like my Facebook page for future videos. Thank you very much for listening. That's it for now. I'll see you next time. สวัสดีครับ